Hi everyone, I'm Cailan Wilkinson, and this is my author takeover for the Gildify Con. I'll just talk about myself a bit before questions come in. I'd love to answer any questions about anything at all. I've always, enjoyed the literature, reading. I've got more into audiobooks lately, as they're convenient to listen to. So, from like the age of, I don't know, like 7, 8 onward, I've just loved books and had a ton of ideas like spiraling around in my head. So when I was 15, I decided to put those ideas into a book because I had a lot of free time during COVID. So I wrote my first book, which is I've got it beside me. This one right here. This was my first attempt at writing. It's only gone up from there. I'd like to believe. What's up, Ryan? Good to see you, man. And yeah, I love books. I have a ton of ideas. I get insane dreams sometimes, which cause me to, wake up in the middle of the night and write a chapter. Most of my stuff it's got, the traditional like lit RPG system elements, but it's the world it all takes place in, the fantasy world, is like an actual world. It's not like VR, so it's real, for the characters. But there's, a system in place, stats, leveling up, all the, lit RPG standards. And I'm currently working on right now the first book of a new series, which has kind of been I've published 10 books so far, so it's this one's kind of been a mixture of everything I've learned from all of them. So I hope this will be my best work. I like to believe that, as you continue doing something for long enough, you do gradually improve. Hey, I'm so sorry. I always get your name wrong. Wait, Aofi. I apologize so much. You're the nicest person. Um, and I'm so sorry. I can't talk. Um, if I'm so sorry. I do apologize. Um, but yeah. So that's me. That's what I'm working on. I'm also working on writing Forging Valorant's book 4. That's kind of a slower background thing because I'm a lot more focused on purity. I've got the first 10 chapters of it out on Royal Road, and the first 18 on Patreon. I'm going to publish a few more today. But yeah, I'd love to answer any questions about anything at all. All my books, on Audible. As I said, I much prefer listening to audiobooks over reading because it's, more convenient, and voice actors, it's very important to me to have the right narrator to listen to an audiobook, because if, the voice is like stilted or grating or not pleasant, then, you can't enjoy it. So I'm very happy with the performances of my audiobooks. I think my narrators are fantastic, great range of talents. Uh, JD, go get it, buddy. The new ones sound promising. Yeah, I hope so. It's Hi, what's up, all knowing? Thanks for tuning in, guys. Yeah, Wafy is the AOFI is the best. But yeah, I'm focusing everything I currently have writing wise into writing purity. And I'm doing it. This is my first attempt at Royal Road, so it translates to a bit of a different writing style, writing in the way of chapter by chapter, versus I'm normally kind of all over the place where I write a chapter here and then another like out of order chapters. But with this, I'm focusing on chronological order, getting a chapter out, on Royal Road, like 3 to 4 chapters each week, and then more on Patreon. So it definitely translates to different writing style, which is, fun to learn and get into. With writing, my stuff's very much so character focused. Uh, I prefer writing, or trying to write what I believe are like complex characters. My favorite thing with writing is character interactions and building up character interactions and such. It's kind of a, what partially got me into writing. I'd say maybe 60% is channeling like real world stuff, like friend dynamics and stuff, into writing. So my book's very character and world building focused, kind of more so than combat focused. There's obviously, fights and stuff in them, but a lot less so than I feel your traditional lit RPG. All Knowing says, what genre besides lit RPG do you favor? My stuff's very much so like fantasy based. The lit RPG elements are quite a bit less than most lit RPG books that I read. I mean, they are there. There is, your statuses and such. I do enjoy having horror elements throughout because I feel like that adds more tension. If I can just like, if I deliver like horror scenes or try and describe stuff, and I try and build tension as much as possible, to have this thriller like build up throughout leading to something um Yeah, that's Krampus right here, which was just like a little fun project I did last Christmas. It's very short. It's just a short horror story, which is like straight horror, some lit RPG as well. But that's fun. Ovi says, "I love your comic on Patreon. Any more in that style?" Oh yeah, well, I actually forgot about that. Kind of partially. Yeah. So I have the Villain Chef. This book here, I got 5 pages of or the first two chapters adapted into 5 pages of a graphic novel, and I would absolutely love to continue that. The thing is I sank quite a bit of money into those first 5 pages, hoping it would boost my Patreon, which it in fact did not, and I am now saving money to pay for college and a ton of other things. So someday when the money flows more, I would love to continue that project. I'd love to get all my books adapted into graphic novels because that's it's a lot of fun, and it's also cool, right? There's like a cool factor to listening to your own audiobooks and like seeing like a visual representation before you through like a graphic novel. So definitely before I die there will be more of those, I promise, unless something goes horribly wrong, which is prone to in life. All knowing says I prefer stuff like Lord of the Rings and Warhammer. Yeah, so I don't know too much about Warhammer. I played Darktide briefly last December, which was fun. I'm huge into Lord of the Rings. Definitely not Amazon's bastardized adaptation, Rings of Power, but I love the original movies. I tried reading the books. I couldn't really. I listened to the audiobooks because it was the pacing was kind of slow, so I just preferred audio form for those. And yeah, I'm a huge Tolkien fan, and I would never compare my books to Lord of the Rings because he's like way up here, and I'm still on my journey. But if you do enjoy, his world building is phenomenal, and I try to do the best I can to have very give you an idea of where everything is placed, in my world and where all the places are and what's happening here and how what's happening here will affect what's happening over here and such. So yeah, definitely. Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, phenomenal. Would love to get into Warhammer more if I someday have more time, hopefully. But yeah, Purity, Blood Emperor Book One. It's based in the same world as my other books, which all of my books are based like in the same world, just different timelines. Forging Valorants, that series is based like towards the beginning, and then the Elementalist is based like 1,000 years after, and the Villain Chef's based after the Elementalist, and the Krampus is based, in between, and Blood Emperor is based at the very beginning of the timeline. Matt Herman says, "Do I have any favorite themes that tend to crop up in my series?" Lots of dark humor. There's lots of dark humor throughout my stuff. I guess it's not really theming though. There's a lot of imagery and themes from like fairy tales. I'm huge into like Alice in Wonderland theming is spread. It is Alice in Wonderland theming like in all of my stuff, not even subtly. It started subtle at the beginning, it's not at all now. Peter Pan as well. Like I'm huge into like Grimm's fairy tales and such. So there's a massive amount of like Wonderland and such theming throughout my stories, like hugely. And that also kind of what inspired that vein for me to write the Krampus. I'd also love, because Peter Pan became public domain a few months ago, I would absolutely love to write a Peter Pan novel. No clue how I'd market it because it wouldn't be lit RPG, so whatever fan base I have probably would not gravitate towards that, but I'd love to. Ryan Maxwell said Tolkien didn't start The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings until he was 45. You've got plenty of time. Everyone says that, and I do appreciate it. Everyone, or what people usually say to me after they say they look like Timothy Chalamet, is they say that you're young, you have time. And I get that like older people, no, I don't say older, have that perspective. For me, it feels like I'm wasting time because like there's only so like years are passing by so fast now, and it's definitely learning time management skills is a thing, and I'm not writing as much as I should be, but I endeavor to write more and find time to write more, and hopefully have a few more books out by the time I'm 45. But JD Glasscock says, "I get not finishing series. I would love to finish my older series, but they weren't making any money, and I need to pay the bills and live." Yeah, I'd never like. I fully empathize with that. Yeah, my Elementalist series is finished with book 4, and then Villain Chef kind of wraps give some like conclude what happens next through another character's perspective. I had always intended to write a sequel to A Flesh Golem's Tale of Resurgence, which would be A Flesh Golem's Tale of Redemption based after Elementalist 4. Probably never gonna, because that series is pretty much concluded. And there's no one asking for a book 5, so I don't know why I would. Still working on Forging Valorant's 4, because I'm very attached to those characters. And oh wow, I just got an insane leg cramp. That was wild. But yeah, you gotta give what finality you can, but in some circumstances you can't always finish the series. Ryan Maxwell says, maybe a Neverland lit RPG. That's why Pan can beat Hook and the adult. Oh, so yeah, to give it more perspective, it would be a completely dark, like tonal, like dark romance themed, like horror Peter Pan story. This would not be Peter Pan overcoming Captain Hook. This would be Peter Pan is abducting kids and bringing them to Neverland. He's got the sinister shadow, which is maybe from another like plane, another dimension, lurking over the island. And the shadow doesn't let people leave. And maybe as Wendy and the kids are coming, they gradually uncover and learn that there's like these corpses. Like, what are those? Oh, those were the last Wendy and John and whatever. It would be very very much so a Cailan Wilkinson Peter Pan than a traditional Peter Pan. Um, but All Knowing says there's a Peter Pan horror movie coming out soon. There's a Disney horror universe with Winnie the Pooh and Bib. Yeah, that hurt me a lot in my heart when I learned about Blood and Honey. And then a lot more so when I learned about Bambi and did not know about a Peter Pan adaptation. That could be cool. Because like it makes sense to do like a dark Peter Pan, at least to me. I don't see why we needed a dark Winnie the Pooh or Bambi. Like it's a Winnie the I feel like there's a bit of a difference, right, from like Pan and then Winnie the Pooh and Bambi. I don't. I'm very much so against what they did. With that, no clue why those were needed. But yeah, I'd be very interested in like a dark Peter Pan movie. I love that stuff. I'd love to make one someday. Um, yeah, everyone dies. I mean, in Bambi and Winnie the Pooh, in those, I'd imagine so. If they're dark, I hate that, to my core. Because like this, like as I said, I like having dark theming and stuff in my books, but like there's some stories that are purely meant to be like inspirational and innocent, and so like it doesn't make sense to corrupt those, right? Because like everyone writes a story with the intention to deliver something different, right? To inspire the reader in some way. The whole point of like Winnie the Pooh or Bambi is to, childhood lessons, stuff like that. Very different from, my books. Obviously, my books are supposed to. I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to trying to impart to you. Something though, I'd like to you to read one of my books and be like, oh whoa, this was a neat concept, and this is a neat idea, and this is making me think about this, this, and this, and who could this character be, and all that stuff. But every author has a different intention when conveying or creating something, anything in general, whether it be, a book, a movie. Um, and yeah, lots of, as I said, theming with mine, lots of Wonderland, Alice Wonderland, Pan, Grimm's Fairy Tale theming and such. I'd love to create like an original fairy tale someday. Just need a bit more talent and a bit more of an open market for that first. Um, but yeah, that's what I've got. That's what I'm doing. I unfortunately won't be at the rest or participating in the rest of the conventions because I'm flying to Florida tomorrow, and I won't be back home here till Tuesday. So probably won't have too much time to write for the next week as well. So I've been kind of writing a ton this last week to build up a reserve of chapters for Purity to put out on Patreon and Royal Road. In my absence. Hey, Kellen, Rachel Leclerc here. Really enjoyed your answers on the last panel, Murder Hobo one. I think you do super well in an OG fairy tale. Yeah, I'd love to write one. I need, because like my ideas kind of come to me bit by bit, right? Like I might get like a random idea one day and then I won't get another one for like another like 7 days or maybe like 5 weeks. So I kind of need to let my ideas for that collect over a period of time, and then when I have enough that I think are good enough, I would absolutely love to write an original fairy tale. For sure. Right now I'm kind of, sticking to lit RPG because that's what I know and that's what I know how to market somewhat, or, that's what I've got a bit of an audience for. And yeah, But yeah, JD Glaxock, Rachel Corky Pencil. Yeah, that's a fun old it's a fun old username. Um, but yeah, I'll talk a bit about first Starwalker. No, I can't talk. I'm sorry. First Starwalker. I guess it might as well since I have some time left. This is my favorite of my books that I've written. May not be my best. I'd say the Villain Chef is probably the most cohesive. But I really enjoyed writing this book because I've always wanted to, throughout my other books, have like a lot of different main characters, and so that's what I was able to fully realize with this Forging Valorant series. Is each chapter in sets of 3 to 4 is like a different point of view. Each chapter is named based off the fief it takes place of because there's 10 fiefs in the continent where this most of the story takes place. And so we get introduced to the main character Travis in chapter 1. And he's heading off to Light Spirit Academy. It's his stuff. In this book is kind of academy based. Not quite as well written as someone named Brian J. Norton, who I do, by the way, narrate his Quest Academy series. If anyone was curious, whose lovely voice performs that. But yeah, so you get like Travis in chapter 1, then you get like another character Ronan in chapter 2, and then so on, just different characters introduced. And you kind of, I hope to impart like an idea of where everything's happening across these 10 fiefs in this continent, in this kingdom, and lots of dark theming, horror theming throughout. Builds up and is expanded on in 2 and 3 and such. Um, it's Marie says, "Hi, has finally escaped in real life. You are an inspiration to the rest of us. Being so young and getting so many stories out here. Thank you. That's always cool to hear. Yeah. Wavy says, your covers are awesome. Thank you. I love my covers. I actually I started doing the typography for them a year ago. So I do like the typography for the Forging Valorant's books. And yeah, I get like these insane ideas that I just need to see like illustrated on a cover, and I'm happy with how they turned out. Ryan says, "Don't you need to be old to have an old YouTube handle, Rachel?" Implying because she's young, 'cause she's short. Sorry, sorry, I apologize. Cailan, loved your work on Quest Academy. Your Daniel persona is so good. I know. My performance, I have a pen. It's like a narration name actually. It's Daniel Wiswinski. It's when I do like a British accent. For my works and different, I try and do an Irish accent in it too, but it isn't the best Irish accent. But yeah, the Quest Academy, I'll take credit for the narration. Thank you, and for the success of it in general. Um, Sorry, but yeah. So I'm Purity. To get back to that, what I'm currently working on, first 10 chapters on Royal Road. Is very. So the premise of that story is you've got this guy, Kale, right, and he's living on Earth, normal life and stuff. Then Valentine's Day, he's donating the old blood to the blood company, as you do, when he is summoned back to this fantasy world. Blood consumes him, and he's summoned back there. It turns out he was actually born on this world, and his father, in an attempt to empower him, was performing this ritual, which then sent him to Earth, where he lived his life until then, when he's like 20, his father was finally able to gather enough resources to summon him back. And so it's about, him arriving back there. His father is like in charge of this crumbling empire. And he's got two brothers and a sister. And his father's like, "Oh yeah, we've got the Valiant Empire, where you're my heir. I've been working so hard to bring you back here." And then the brother comes back and he's like, "Oh yeah, I just won, this great victory against the Jobbers, our enemies and stuff." But then Kale slowly begins to realize as the book goes on that it's actually his father, his brothers, everyone's lying to him. They're all extremely delusional. It's not this great empire. There wasn't this great victory. There's like 10 guys left in the army. Huge amount of other stuff which I won't spoil, but a lot of family drama, intrigue, and such with those first few chapters, and then it moves on in another direction. I think is quite fun. There's also this place called the House of Haunted Memories, which came to me in a dream. I think it's like awesome. It's like this old house out there, and it like moves around, and it's got like different floors, and each room is controlled by a different dream lord, and the dream lords within the house are all like fighting over for like territory and space. But fighting in the house is different because it's all about fighting through dreams and about giving people like false senses of reality and false visions and such. and Kale, comes across characters from the House of Haunted Memories, and that's a big plot point and such. But I'm rambling a wee bit. Ryan, I am as old as Eldritch. Oh my God, what am I? I need to pay attention. As old as an Eldritch horror in my soul. Maybe you should get some of that power to you know, get some more height. I'm sorry. No, yeah. Rachel. I fully recommend Calamity. Don't get mad at me if I'm not correct. Is the name of book one. I did indeed for Knights of Eternity series. I did indeed start it back a few months ago. I have not finished it, but that's because I've been busy, and I will indeed finish it. I promise. I'm being nice to you too. I'm being nice to you right now by saying that people should read. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I've actually a coworker who is short, and I do have some good height jokes I can whip out, but I won't because I'm nice. Anyway. I've got a point. I've got a lot of good points. Not sure exactly which one you're referring to, but I will happily take the compliment. Um, Definitely. But yeah, the whole thing with Back to Purity is it's blood is like his thing. The class he gets is blood feature. Oh yeah, if you hit the link at some point after this is over or now to save it, you'll see the cover, which I think that's a very I'm very happy with that cover as well. But it's like blood magic is what he gets. His class is blood feature, and then he gets a subclass called blood reaper, and he can summon like a blood scythe and manipulate blood and stuff, especially like the blood within his own body, which was a lot of fun to work out the system for that with like how that works with like regeneration and such. Lots of blood related abilities, which is fun. Rachel says, "Thank you for coming to my takeover. My book is called Calamity. The final book in the trilogy is out 8 days. It's called Divinity. Divinity Con from Quest Academy. They're same universe. I narrated Rachel's books too, actually. That was my Parsno impression. I'm sorry, I'm rambling. Anyway, yeah, Rachel finished a series, which is, you don't see a whole lot of in this genre. I will take credit for finishing The Elementalist. It has a conclusion. And I will finish Forging Valorants. I'm writing book four. It's totally very different from the first three because a lot of life stuff's happened. But yeah. So book four will finish that up, and I'm in the meantime working on Purity because I think it's quite good, and I would love for as many people to experience that story as possible. Um, and yeah, in the meantime, like guys, isn't this awesome? Like this convention, big thank you, props to Geneva for setting this up. Like, it's so cool. Like panels with like authors, everyone. This genre is so great because like everyone comes together and like talks about stuff and spreads what they're working on, their ideas, and builds it up. And it's like a tight knit community where kind of everyone knows everyone and meets up at the conventions and stuff, which is awesome. Shout out to Dragon Con and Jordan Con and what was the other one? I thought I'm forgetting. There was another one I think I was at where I saw people. Um, JD Glasscock says, "Rach, you haven't had a takeover yet." No, she's co-opting mine. I get it. You being sarcastic, ironic. Someone is certainly, potentially me, potentially Rachel, potentially you. Um, Anyway, guys, questions. I'd love to answer anything you have whatsoever. I'm here. Because when I finish this, I have to go pack, and that's not fun. And I will try and write a chapter tonight after packing. Um, Because I'm writing about some demonic scarecrows right now in chapter 19. So they're like nailed up to crucifixes outside this farm. It's like scarecrows, but turns out, because Kale can sense blood in people, he senses blood within them. Turns out these scarecrows used to be people. They're this insane architect dude twisted and turned into these scarecrows, which he now has control over, and they can like jump off their crucifixes and then pick them up and sling them over their shoulder, and then they use the crucifixes to crush people. The blood one sounds like something that could take off for you, more mainstream market. Yeah, I've like fully streamlined instead of multiple POVs, instead of insane themes, instead of all the Cailan classics. I've streamlined all of those into focusing on making Purity as mainstream available as possible. I'm usually like subtle with things and with character stuff. Subtlety is kind of gone in this. I'm making it as, not to say it's bad, but I'm making it a lot more, I feel, accessible to the general market who might just, it's a busy day. I'm end of the day. I'm just gonna read a book. Doing what I can to make that as available as possible. All knowing Q says, how did I get into voice acting? Um, it's an inside joke. But no, it's an inside joke. I don't actually voice act. That's a bit of a gimmick from held over from last year between me, Brian and Rachel. I wish I had a voice good enough to voice act. This is my only actual voice. I do have a bit of the southern accent I could do, but I won't whip that out. No, I don't actually voice act. I read like the first few pages of Quest Academy on stream last year, and people enjoyed it, or it seemed like they did at least. I definitely boosted Ryan's sales by at least 1%, according to JD, I do believe. Rachel says, your dialogue banter is really good. Do you rewrite it a lot? Write it aloud? Thank you. I do indeed appreciate the compliment. Wow. But no, I don't rewrite most things at all. Most things, I'll just write one thing, and then it's like it's done. Send like I go back and edit, obviously, but my edit is mostly grammar based and fixing typos and such. Like if I write something, it's usually because I'm confident enough in it that I believe it's like the ideal product I can deliver, so it's done. Especially I wouldn't think the dialogue that's like rewritten too many times would, I feel like it would lose its natural appeal, right? Or natural like realism for me when I write like conversations between characters and such. It's like this is just like in the moment, like a conversation I could go and have with like David right now because it's like an actual supposed to be realistic and such. And I have 3 more minutes, so we're gonna wrap up. Jay Glasscock says, "I think you fooled people with your skit." Yeah, I was a bit, we were a bit too into it. That's just showing how good we are at crafting a story. Glasscock says, Rash is writing reverse harem next. It's gonna kill it. Yeah, I was having a hot tub conversation with James a few weeks ago about so we were talking about reverse harems and how that's like an emerging market now. Which I mean, I'd never write harem because like I don't know how to, or how you, I don't know how you still, I don't have the ability to write something where you still have a connection, like a meaningful connection to more than one girl. Like I feel in my books I'm pretty good at like doing the romance like one on one, but if you add other people it's like, right, but so how do you still have a connection to this person if you're, I don't know. Some people are good at some stuff, some people aren't. I know what I'm good at, and I stick to my. Oh my God, Rash for Rachel. I thought you were talking about someone's pen name. Rachel is writing reverse harem. That's got to be a joke. No, if you don't, I'm sure we'll kill it. That seems quite different from what I perceived your writing to be, Rachel. You should do it though. Go for it. All in. Wow. Yeah, yeah. You should. I'll endorse it. I'll put a review out for it, 5 stars. Um, but yeah, as we wrap up, guys, Cailan Wilkinson, you can find me on Amazon, Audible, pretty much anywhere. Royal Road for the first 10 chapters of Purity, which they're free, so you got no reason not to read those if you want to read ahead. Quite a bit ahead on Patreon. I try and stay. If I've got 20,000 words on Royal Road, I try and have 40 on Patreon. Try and keep it doubled up so it's worth, the $5 value. Rachel says, Rash here. I'm not writing harem. Rash would be a good pen name, though, for when you do write harem, specifically reverse harem. I'm writing reverse harem to, though, hell. Yeah, monster juice. A bit incoherent there. She's had a bit of whiskey. Congrats on Purity and enjoy Florida. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I'm coming in right after Hurricane Milton's, like, swept everything clean. Yep, it will be the new rumor. Rachel is writing reverse. Rash, her pen name, she is writing a reverse harem. Um, but folks, it's been an honor to be on here. Be a part of this. Enjoy the rest of the convention. Thank you for staying and listening to me. And guys, it's been a great time. Have fun, buddy, and keep on going. Yeah, you gotta, sometimes and like it's hard, to do anything in life, not just writing, to wake up and be like, I'm actually gonna get out of bed. But you have to keep going because if you don't, then like, what's the point? Like it might some awful stuff happens, but if you don't keep going, then you stop and you think about it, and you can't do that. So keep going. That's my parting advice. All right, guys, thank you so much. I'm gonna wave until Geneva cuts the feed. Have a great day. Enjoy reading or writing, whatever you're reading or writing, and I'll see you guys. Just gonna keep on.